Okay, Fortune magazine, intermittent fasting linked to 91% increase in risk of death from heart disease, study says. Really? Really?
Thank God, I'm going to eat something.
Really? It's not overeating. It's intermittent fasting. So they have to come up with these excuses of why heart attacks are up or why cancer is up. They have that new thing called sudden adult death syndrome. When did they start talking about sudden infant death syndrome? I wonder when that was. Coincidentally, it was right when the pharmaceuticals got a protection from the law from lawsuits against.
I'm waiting for them to blame yoga and Pilates next.
Well, right?
Well, no, that's right wing.
So this is from, by the way, I always trust stuff about my health that I read in Fortune magazine. Just like when some guy wants to deal with some deep and troubling psychological issues, he always cracks open an issue of guns and ammo. Edward Dowd says, yes, and ivermectin is horse paste. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
These same publications told you that. Intermittent fasting linked to 91. Okay. That's it. Great. Edward Dowd, nice. Are these the same doctors who, after studying DDT, told everybody it was fine? Are these the same doctors? How about remember those tobacco doctors? Whatever happened to them? I mean, it seems like you can get a doctor to do a study for a ham sandwich.
Yes. Absolutely.
Was it the difference between your average research scientist and a street prostitute is that a street prostitute actually knows what they're talking about because they've done the research. Edward says, I remember as a young boy all the members of my parish dropping dead during Lent. Oh wait, that never fucking happened. So as a Catholic, you're supposed to fast during Lent. And he's saying that nobody ever dropped dead during Lent. So they're coming up with all these reasons why people are dropping dead, and none of it has to do with the none of it.
Mm-hmm.
None of them have to do with the that we were all mandated. I see a day he wrote this in April 6th, 2021. Look at this. He said, I see a day in the not too distant future where YouTube bans videos on fasting and intermittent fasting as its increase in popularity, thus reducing Big Pharma's revenue growth trajectory. Sounds crazy, does it? Think again. He said that in 2021. So now people are getting healthier. They're doing intermittent fasting. People are realizing we're over-medicated, and that cuts into Big Pharma's. And by the way, people are starting to wake up to the poison that seed oils are, corn oil, and what are the other oils that are horrible? Grapeseed oil, sunflower oil, canola oil. All those oils are like poison. They're not. The only two good oils are olive oil, extra virgin, and avocado oil. But you got to make sure they're pure.
And so that means all the fried foods that we eat at fast food restaurants.
That's right. So. So they used to, at McDonald's, they used to fry their fries in, what is that called?
Was it tallow?
Tallow.
Yeah.
They used to fry it in tallow up until like 1993, and then they switched over to corn oil. Well, tallow is much healthier for you. So to make all those it's called vegetable oil, which sounds good. How could it be bad?
Right.
Because the way they have to process it turns those fats into unhealthy fats that are bad for you, like poison. They creates inflammation in your body. So you're better off using ghee. You're better off using tallow. You're better off using butter, grass-fed. You're better off using extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil.
Not margarine?
Margarine. That's the biggest scam they ever pulled. I grew up eating margarine because they were supposed to be healthier for you.
I can't believe it's not butter.
It's all full of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't believe it's not butter. It's horrible for you.
Yeah. Well, oat milk too. Oat milk is the newest one.
Oh, really?
The shit that they have to put into oat milk for it not to taste like oat milk.
Oh, really?
Is worse for you than drinking milk.
The safety of intermittent fasting, a popular strategy to lose weight by limiting food intake to certain times, was called into question by a surprise finding from a research presented at a medical meeting. Why are you being so vague where this fucking came from? Right? I would be surprised to find they were at a surprise finding. I would be
so not even published. Not even published if I'm reading this right.
We're going to find out, but I don't think it is. But it's not peer reviewed, that's for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it didn't have to go through a peer review. Somebody said some shit at a meeting.
I would be surprised to find one actual piece of research data in all of this. That's what I'd be surprised about. Limiting meal times to a period of just 8 hours a day was linked to a 91% increase in risk of death from heart disease in the study, which was released on Monday in Chicago. Okay, so now we're narrowing it down to a city. Chicago, that's where bullshit is spread like manure in the spring. The American Heart Association published only an abstract, leaving scientists speculating about details of the study protocol. I bet that they're speculating about the details of this study. The study was reviewed by other experts prior to... What are these experts' names? It's just kind of amazing. Lifestyle interventions aimed at weight loss have come under scrutiny as a new generation of drugs help people shed pounds.
Very dangerous drugs. See, that's the game.
That's the game.
That's the game.
Ozempic is not as safe as you're not being told the truth about Ozempic. Not good for you.
No, of course it isn't.
So that's what this is. They want people to take Ozempic and all these new drugs to lose weight. They don't want you actually doing it naturally.
I want you exercising.
So, some doctors question the study's findings. You think saying that some doctors who aren't paid directly by Big Pharma, saying they could have been skewed by differences such as underlying heart health between the fasting patients and the comparison group, whose members consumed food over a daily period of 12 to 16 hours. Time-restricted eating is popular as a means of reducing calorie intake, said Keith Frayne, emeritus professor of human metabolism at the University of Oxford. What else did the University of Oxford give us recently? Oh, yeah, that famous vaccine.
Oh, right.
Right? And then, remember that? Yeah. I think that was the AstraZeneca. Didn't that come from Oxford?
I think so, yeah.
This work is very important in showing that we need long-term studies on the effects of this. Don't stop eating like a fucking maniac. Whatever you do, keep stuffing your face full of shit until we have long-term, for at least another decade or two. No long-term studies on the vaccine.
But Jimmy, you know what we don't need long-term studies on? The effect of putting children on puberty blockers and hormones.
Right?
We don't need long-term studies before we do that. That's safe and effective.
And by the way, Russ, do you know for millions of Americans, it's actually not called fasting. It's just called fucking surviving.
Yeah. Yes.
And what little they're being paid and how much it costs to exist. The researchers led by Victor Zhang, really, of the Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine, analyzed data from about 20,000 adults, including in the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. Really? Well, I'm glad to hear that the same country where we do all of our gain of function deadly virus stuff gave us this research. They've certainly earned our trust.
Solid.
They've certainly earned our trust. The study looked at answers to questionnaires along with death data from 2003 to 2019. Because it relied in part on forms that required patients to recall what they ate over 2 days, scientists said that there was room for potential inaccuracies. You'd think about half of the patients were men and the mean age was 48. It wasn't clear how long the patients continued to intermittent fasting, though the researchers assumed they kept it up. The fasting patients were more likely to be younger men with a higher BMI and food insecurity, he said. Really? And when the study subjects would not comply, the Chinese government just took them outside and shot them.
Yeah.
They also had a lower prevalence of hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease based on self-reports. We controlled for all these variables in the analysis, but the positive association between 8-hour time-restricted eating and cardiovascular mortality, it remained. How expensive is it to hire a scientist medical expert? I bet you could get one for a zhong. Come on. Come on. Anyway, I think they're leaving out something. I wonder what they're leaving out. Just a reminder that the vaccine is totally safe and effective.
Well, when this is another reason that I do believe that we have a cabal of Davos, WEF, global elites that are trying to kill us, because they're running around trying to tell you you're healthy at any size. If you tell someone to lose weight, it's fat shaming. The only motive I can see for that is that you're trying to make people less healthy. You're trying to make them die. You're trying to get rid of them, because it's just not true. It just isn't true. And then on top of it, you start calling exercise right wing. You start calling being in shape.
It's mental
as fascist. I see no other reason for that other than you're trying to make people sick and unhealthy. You want them easy to control, and you want them dead. What other reason would you tell people something so obviously untrue?
Russ, I'm with you. I think people are catching on, and nothing opened my eyes like Russiagate and then COVID. And of course, the Ukraine war is just an extension of Russiagate, and it's just as bullshit as all the rest of the wars we've done in the last 25 to 30 years. If not longer.
Do you want to mention anything about glyphosates?
What do I glyphosates? Well, that's why when I get my pasta and my olive oil, I get directly from Italy, because they don't use glyphosate on their wheat, and so they don't have it in their pasta. So when I make pasta at home, I found this out during COVID.
I know, man. I eat your pasta.
It's great.
Whenever I go there, I grab that pasta out of the closet.
So that pasta, it's not sprayed with glyphosate. And where are the long-term studies on glyphosate? If you find out what they do to the food in America, it will blow your mind. Yep. And there's so many foods, by the way, that Americans eat on the regular that are banned in other countries.
Yep. Well, if you go to McDonald's or you go to a Subway in Europe, it's classified as cake because the bread, the amount of sugar in the bread, it's cake.
Really?
The definition. You get a McDonald's hamburger, you get a Subway sandwich, that's cake. It's classified as cake.
That's awesome. All right, we got to wrap it up.
I got to read for 10 minutes.
Steph's gonna. So let me say goodbye to Russell. Thanks for sitting in. I appreciate it. Russell will be here
absolutely
next Monday, guest hosting for me for about 2 weeks while we're doing our European tour and meeting our fans all over the place. Still some tickets available in Oslo, and I think there's a few tickets available for our second show in London, and there might be a couple of tickets in Copenhagen, or no, maybe Stockholm.
I think it was sold out.
Copenhagen is sold out.
Yeah.
Berlin is sold out. Amsterdam might stop. I think. What's the Amsterdam and what's the other city in Amsterdam? Rotterdam. Rotterdam sold out. There might be a few tickets in Amsterdam. There might be a few tickets in Stockholm. So go to jimmydore.com for we're going to do a locals after Steph reads all our Rumble rants, and
so it'll probably start right about 7 o'clock, so right and then it'll wrap at 7:15.
Yeah, so about 7 to 7:15 we'll do our locals on Friday. We're going to do a special thing for the Jimmy Dore, jimmydore.com members. We're sending you an email. If you have questions, email them back. We're going to answer your questions.
So look for an email.
So people are getting pissed off that they were doing these locals things for locals. So I don't want to piss off the jimmydore.com members. So we're going to do that for them. And then we're going to learn how to take phone calls. We're going to do that. Okay. Russell Dobule, everybody check out his show. It's fantastic.
Do we need a light
and the thing that drives me nuts is that I watch your show. Right, on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right?
he does.
So I like your show. It's really good.
It's really engaging.
Do dissonance.
Thank you.
And I mean, it is boring, and I'm sick of hearing of Keaton's kids. But no matter what video I'm watching of yours, you know what the next video is that comes up?
Lex Friedman?
No, The Hill Rising.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, so that's how, so if you see The Hill Rising getting views, that's how they're getting views, because they're in the corporate algorithm, just like the Young Turks, just like I'm certain that Kyle Kalinske and Breaking Points are in that same corporate algorithm. Just like if you have an MSNBC contract and you do a YouTube show, you're in that corporate. There's definitely different algorithms, and we are not in the favored one.
And Lex Friedman is in the most favored category.
Oh yeah, he's for the Ukraine war.
Man, you watch 2-3 videos and you let it autoplay. Lex Friedman is definitely coming up.
So, and Lex Friedman's pro-Ukraine war, and he did that hard-hitting interview with the head of Pfizer. Remember that? That was a joke. Anyway,
that one I didn't see. I saw him interviewing a CIA guy who kept trying to explain to him why Ukraine couldn't win. And it became the Jim Carrey. So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. 1 in a million. So there's a chance.
Yeah.
All right, Russ, thank you very much. We'll see you next Monday. Hey, come see us do a live stand-up show. We're going to be in Stockholm, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, London, Oslo, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Cortland, New York, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Edmonton, Alberta, Vancouver, British Columbia, and Denver, Colorado. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.